We are talking about a game that I am super, super excited about. And that, of course, is Black Myth Wukong.
We're going to roll this trailer right off the bat, starting
Yeah.
now. Here we go.
Adam, what do you think?
Dave, I do not know what I think of this game. After doing some of my research, I think the interpretation of where this, or like the inspiration of this game is cool. But other than that, I'm not super excited about this game. Out of all the like Souls-likes and games that you show me, this is probably at the bottom of the list that I've been most excited about.
Is it just too weird? Do you think it's just too weird for you?
I think it might be a little too weird, but yeah.
Yeah. So, guys, if you're just listening on the Spotify, what we're looking at right now is a very picture-esque Souls-like world. But I think we're seeing some weird stuff. So, like, what is that? What is that? What is that thing? Is that what is this thing? Like, we saw, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're a monkey with a whip, and it's fighting a gigantic hand that's holding an orb. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to describe this. Adam, please help me. How do you describe this?
I don't know how to describe it either. It's just so weird. That's almost like impossible to describe what is going on. The character design is something like I've never seen before in a video game. Just like the main character is one of those like, who is this main character? It's so out there in terms of like the character design. And it's not to say it doesn't look good. So don't get that from me. It's just not appealing to me like whatsoever. It's just so strange to me.
Does it look like it like has potential to you though? Like if you can get past the weirdness, does it look like something that would be enjoyable to play?
Maybe, I don't know. But this again, it's not my type of game. But for you, this is a game that you're super excited about. But for me, I just don't know if I can get past the weirdness. Plus, adding a Souls-like to it for me.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. But I can't imagine this type of game any other way than a Souls-like. You know what I mean?
I mean, I just because I think the weirdness is like intriguing to me, and especially when it comes to like a video game type of setting. Like we saw clips of him fighting a giant spider. Like he was sliding down this mountain, like snow-covered mountainy hill. Like he jumped up and grabbed the side of a dragon and was like hanging on for dear life and like flying on this gigantic like scarab beetle. And it's just like, bro, this is gonna be so like the level of stuff that's happening right now is just so good for a video game. I'm so excited to just to like see what's gonna happen. I just want to see what they're gonna do with this game.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about what this game is going to be, aside from the fact that it's an action RPG, Souls-like, inspired by Chinese mythology, but also a book called Journey to the West, which was published in the 16th century. So a very, very long time ago. And it's inspired, like, so the main character you play as is called Wukong, which means Monkey King. So you're going to play as a monkey, like monkey human type of thing. And it's this is kind of a side note here. Do you know this, like, this book this isn't the first time it's been like inspired by like pop culture and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm actually really, really glad that you brought this up. So, I think I'm gonna clarify a few things for a few people. So, like Adam said, this book is inspired by the novel Journey to the West, which was initially printed in 1592. And in the novel, you are basically a Buddhist monk, and you are on this like legendary pilgrimage to the West, which in the context of where they are, I know a lot of people are going to think to the West, and they're going to think that means to America. That is not. That's not it. So the travels to the West here in this context is Central Asia. And basically your job is to obtain these sacred texts. And the way that this works in the novel is that you are the Buddhist monk, and you are given 3 protectors who are going to protect you on this quest. And those three protectors, and I'm so sorry, I'm so gonna butcher these names. But we have Zhu Bajai, Zhao Wu King, and the Monkey King. And basically, what they're doing is that they have been dubbed as sinners, and in order
Mhm.
to be alleviated of their sins, they have agreed to accompany this Buddhist monk on his journey to gather these sacred texts, which they need. Um, and I think it's a really, really cool storyline. So we talked about it. The video game, you're going to be playing as the Monkey King. So it's not a direct like adaptation.
Mhm.
Obviously a little bit different, but I think it's still like a very good. It's still drawing from the source material very, very well. And like you said, this has been in pop culture a bunch of times before. So this was actually a Japanese anime in the 60s. This was
Mhm.
an actual live action TV series in 1986. It was
Mhm.
a film series starting in 2013. Yeah, and there's just like there's like tons of in between. Like I was
Yeah.
surprised at how much this has been like in pop culture.
Dragon Ball is probably one of the biggest ones that I saw. Like, and Dragon Ball took inspiration from the Monkey King, and so
Yeah.
like Goku is essentially like the Monkey King, but yeah, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So I mean, and I think it's really cool. And if you look at the gameplay mechanics, you like we said, we are going to be playing as the Monkey King, and I think that's honestly a better choice, for a video game because the Buddhist monk is just a Buddhist monk. And there's
Right.
not a lot that you can do with that character. But if you look at the legend of the Monkey King, on the other hand, has a lot of different things that can work really, really well into a gameplay mechanic. So the Monkey King
Right.
obviously is immortal, so that
Mhm.
that kind of clears up the whole oh what if he dies situation, right?
Mhm.
But he also so the Monkey King also has incredible speed and strength. He has the ability to transform into various people, animals, and objects. He can clone himself. He can manipulate weather. There's aspects of like magic that's going to be, infused into this. So I think for a video game, this is probably the best way to go because, like I said, if you
Mhm.
were just kind of playing as the Buddhist monk, probably get a little boring. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think the Monkey King is a much better, just kind of playable character.
Mhm. I agree. I agree with that. And kind of going into the game mechanics a little bit more. So your main weapon is the baton. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
there's not going to be very many weapons aside from like the main baton, but there's different way. From what I've seen and what I've read is like you'll be able to customize it in certain ways. So like you can make the baton longer, and that goes into like different stances. So there's gonna be three different stances that I saw,
Yep.
and that's the smash, the pillar, and the thrust form. And
Yep.
each are different play styles. So the smash is kind of essentially you can smash your enemies like from a little bit of like a mid distance, like kind of getting there with that. Your thrust is like more up close and personal, but you have to like charge your attacks when you're in there. And
Yep.
then pillar is going to be like more of defensive play. So I think that's kind of cool in terms of that they'll have those. Like you have your main weapon, like everybody has that same weapon, but you can use it in different ways. So I thought that was a really cool aspect of the game.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like you can probably tell me a little bit more, but like once you pick a stance in most Souls like games, like you can't change your character stance, right? Or can you do that?
I mean, for the most part, and I talk about this all the time, is like in these Souls likes, you're being a well-rounded player
Hmm.
is not the way to go, right? So
Right.
being a dabbling in everything makes you a master of nothing.
Right.
I know there's a much better way to say that, and somebody in the comments could be like, "You butchered that quote," and I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. I definitely butchered it, but I think the idea is there of like,
Yeah.
yeah, you very much want to focus on one thing in a Souls like and just hammer that. You just want to hammer that down. But I do think that this is going to be different though because you are going to be able to fluidly switch in between these three
Yeah. And that's
stances.
kind of where I was
Yeah.
going with that is you'll have the ability to change your stance for different scenarios. So I thought it was kind of
Yeah.
cool. And then you'll be able to equip four different skills at a time. And the cool thing with that is there's supposed to be 72 different abilities, like over
Y-
72 abilities. And so you can like
yes.
make your characters, like you said, if you want to transform, you want to duplicate yourself, if you want to like run really fast, like you'll have those abilities where you can kind of interchange them. And I think that's super ambitious, but also like really cool, like what people piece together to make their loadout or their character like attributes, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
And they're promising over 100 different enemy types and monsters.
Yep.
That's a lot of enemies and monsters.
Yeah, that's a
And then
lot.
yeah, and then the level design is similar to like any Souls like and Bloodborne, where you'll have your main path with the branches off. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I think it's really cool. And then just touching again on like what you said about being able to, equip these certain abilities.
Hmm.
And it goes back to like, like I said, when you're typically playing a Souls, like you need to you need to just hammer one thing, right? And I think it's kind of cool because this is giving players a much more freedom to just kind of explore all of the possibilities for the game. And it's like, if you look at certain Souls likes or, Souls games in general, it's like you load up and you decide, okay, do I want to be a strength guy? Do I want to be a dex guy? Do I want to play with magic? And it's like, you can't really, I load up as strength characters, right? So
Hmm.
like concerned in the slightest of like when I pick up a spell or anything like that. It's like, that's not for me. You know what I mean? That,
Yeah.
like I'm not using
Garbage.
that. Yeah, that's garbage. That's garbage. And I think being able to just kind of take advantage of all these things in one character design is really, really, really cool because there's so many times where I also pick up one of those spells and I'm like, oh man, dude, like I can suck fire from the ground and just like raise fire underneath the enemies. And then I look at
Ooh.
it and I'm like, nope, can't use it. Like I'm not good. I'm not
Yeah.
good enough. I'm not
Yeah.
magicy enough to use that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of cool because you can have that play style and you can have like a little taste of everything in one
Hmm.
character, and that's really really cool. I honestly wish more Souls likes would do that.
It gives the player more freedom to experience everything, but I think at the same time, maybe they're thinking it's like, okay, they're gonna play this character as a strength build. That means they'll make a magic build. You know what I mean? Like I think that's the mindset. They want you to come back like, I have this character for this reason, I have this character for this reason. And I think that's why they do it. It's like you made this character, play another one. You can do what you want to do with that in terms of like the
Yeah,
magic or stuff like that. So I think that is really cool that they're just making it more appealing to somebody that, let's say, that isn't so much into Souls like myself. Granted, this one's just not like, it's not for me. Like I'm not gonna play this one. Um, and I just think for other people, like it brings in an element. It's like, all right, what can we do to keep Souls like people happy, but also what can we do to bring in more people? And I think that's a good way to do it, to give you more freedom with your character.
yeah, and I think they did a really good job, and I think just from what we've seen, and from just like the context that I've seen of people that have actually gotten their hands on this game, and we talked about it with mouse and all that. The fluidity of this game is supposed to be absolutely incredible.
Hmm.
The dodge mechanic in this game is supposed to be the most responsive dodge mechanic in all of Souls likes, and I'm super excited to get my hands on it because
Cool.
we talk about this all the time. It's like these Souls likes is almost like a dance, right? It's almost
Hmm.
like it's very calculated movements and it's very learning timings and learning stuff like that. And I love that feeling of just feeling like I am in total control of this character and like this character is responding exactly the way that I want him to respond.
Right. And right
Yeah, so
at the right moment too. So I
yes.
think that that's important for games like this too.
Yeah.
And the one I played, so I played Atlas Fallen, which is like it had that like Souls like elements to it.
Yeah, definitely.
But I always like I liked the game. Don't get me wrong. Like I enjoyed myself when I played it, but there were moments where I felt like it didn't have that fluidity, and like I
Yeah.
would just keep dying because of like there's a clunk here or a clunk there, or I hit the dodge button this time and it just didn't work. And I'm like, okay, so I did like you always say when you play these games, like you want to feel like, oh, I screwed up, so I died. For that game, I felt like I pushed my button and then like it wouldn't do anything and I die. I'm like, no, come on.
Yeah.
So I think that's important for these types of games. And like you said, if they can nail that dodge mechanic or just the fluidity of the game, this is going to appeal to a lot of those like that player base, and I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's really really sweet, and I think another thing that we kind of talked about here is I know you're not super excited on the Souls fact of like that very slow kind of Dark Souls that
Yeah.
okay, dodge, dodge, dodge. Okay, get in, jab. Okay, dodge,
Yeah.
dodge. Like like you're not the hugest fan of that. And I think there's a lot of people, specifically people that are not into Souls likes that also don't like that.
Mm,
And this game, from what I've been seeing and what I've been reading of people that have actually gotten their hands on the game, this game is much more. I would consider this much more of like a Sekiro, or like a Bloodborne, as opposed to like a Dark Souls, where they very much reward you for being aggressive. They
yeah,
don't
like in
want
the
they
action. Yeah.
Yeah, they do not want you to play the game. I mean, you probably can play the game that way, but the whole idea of the game is not so much that dodge, 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 get in one hit and then get out. It is very much be aggressive, stay on top of your opponent, keep attacking, like, and I love that. I love that style because I am a Souls player, but some of my favorite games in the genre are Sekiro and Bloodborne, and it's because I love that being aggressive motion. Like,
Mhm.
I don't want to dip out. I don't want to dip out. I want to get in there and double down and hit harder. And I think that's more appealing to like a wider audience. And I think they've done
Mhm.
a good job with trying to make that the mechanic of the game.
I agree with you there, and I think the way that you're gonna have opportunities to play each of those scenarios, like having that in there, like combo, combo, combo. Okay, I got to play this character or this boss a little bit farther back, or kind of a mix of both. Given that you can like switch your stances, your abilities, and I think that's cool. You'll have elements of all that instead of just like, okay, I'm just gonna go in there start punching and like not like feel like you're like get hit or you know what I mean, like you're just in there and like you never get like punished for being in there for too long. And then I think there's gonna be another boss. It's like you're in there, okay, you're there too long, get out, and then bam. So
Yeah. And I think it's really cool. And one more thing I want to touch on, which
Mhm.
I'm absolutely going to love, is that the Monkey King technically in this game cannot block attacks. So you can block attacks with certain stances and stuff like that, but your typical just like holding the block button is not going to be a thing. They want you to use the dodge mechanic, not the block
Mhm.
mechanic. So do you know what that means?
You're gonna be dodge rolling the whole game.
This game will 100% not require you to parry anything, and I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, you're not a parrier.
I am not a parrier. Yeah, so I'm super excited for it. And then also just real quick, like you talked about, they have, they've said there's gonna be over 100, you said over 100 different types of enemies in
Yeah,
this game.
enemies, yep.
Yeah.
Enemies and
Um,
monsters.
Yeah, and so from what we've been seeing so far, is that this game is very much going to focus on boss fights. It's going to be a lot of boss fights, and not so much stuff in between. And I can understand where people are going to kind of see that as a negative, but I challenge Souls players to really think this idea through, because every Souls game or every Souls like game that I've played, my initial playthrough, I have really enjoyed going through the world and searching for things, right? But
Mhm.
when you get to subsequent playthroughs, what are you really doing? You're really just going from boss fight to boss fight. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you know everything that's in between. You like and everything in between just becomes kind of this mundane grind to get to the next boss fight, which is really what you want to do on your subsequent playthrough, is just get to
Right.
that boss fight again. And I think it's kind of cool that like maybe they've eased back on the amount of travel time in between these boss fights and just been like, listen, we know what you want. You want to get in here and
Yeah.
fight something epic. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I think that's kind of a cool idea.
I agree because there's so many times or what even when I was playing Dark Souls, I like for the little I played, I did get kind of like, wait, I have to kill these like get my souls like 10,000 times just killing these little guys. Like, come on, can we just get to the next boss? And then like
Yeah.
and that I can see why that people would be excited about that. But also, like you said, like you want to have the ability to go and like explore and have those like elements like, oh, this guy's easy to kill real quick. Like, let me warm up with these, like, you know what I mean? Like, this is my warm
Yeah.
up fight. I'll get to the grand event here shortly. But yeah, I think getting to the bosses quicker is fun.
Yeah. And especially when it gets to the point where it's like you're dying on a boss a lot and you have to make these ridiculous runs to even just get back to the boss fight. It's like,
Hmm.
dude, like I don't want to have to run through and try to fight these 40 guys every single time I die on this boss. You know what I mean? Like I just want to get back into the boss fight. So I think
Right.
they're gonna take away a little bit of that frustration with that style. And I know it looks a little it might look a little strange, but I think that's honestly for me that's kind of a plus because I'm excited to see what they're gonna do with this game. The gameplay mechanics look really really sweet. The boss fights, I love that. I love the no parrying. And I'm super super excited for this one. I'm definitely gonna get this.
Woo! I know you
Yeah,
are. I know you are.
yeah,
I'm not, but I will watch you play it, and maybe you can convince me at some other point. But this is coming out this year, right? In 2024?
yeah. Coming out this year. It's actually coming out very very
September?
soon. I think no
April. April.
March, April.
Oh,
Yeah, April. It
March or
might be
April?
March. Yeah, it's either March or April. I
All
think.
right, one
Yeah,
second. Let me do a quick Google search.
yeah. Quick Google search because it is coming out very very soon.
On Steam, let's see. Oh, August. We were
August.
way off.
we are way
August
off.
19th or something like that. Or is it say 14th?
Oh, Ronin. Ronin is coming out in March. Yes, this is
Oh,
this
okay.
is yeah, okay. Ronin's coming out in March. This one is coming out in August.
So two
Big.
games Dave is excited about this year, but Wukong is coming out August 19th, 2024.